Hello everyone, Mr. Nash here,
And Ms. Vibber Johnson.
and today we're going to talk a little about the opposite viewpoint. Yes, in an argument paper you want to make sure that you include the opposite viewpoint and why it's wrong. It really will make your argument stronger. Consider your audience for a second. If you're arguing something and somebody that is reading your paper doesn't agree with you, they're pretty much just going to tune you out because they know, like, oh, all this evidence, I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. Chuck the paper away. They're just going to stop reading. It's going to look like this person over here, just not even paying attention to what you have to say. However, if you make a very clear statement as to not only why you're right, but why the other side is wrong, now you've engaged the other people, the other side. They're now drawn into your writing, and they're going to pay a little bit more attention, like the student is paying very good attention here. We need more students like that in our room, Mrs. Vibber Johnson, don't you think?
Just sitting there taking notes and listening.
So patient
and really
and quiet.
engaged. Pencils up, paper down.
Anyway, let's get back on topic. Okay, anyway, so that's the purpose of this video, to teach you how and when to address the opposite viewpoint in your paper, because you all will.
So on this slide it says using the opposite viewpoint to your advantage, and there are several ways or reasons why you would use the opposite viewpoint to your advantage. It helps the reader understand the weaknesses of the other side. It shows that you are willing to hear and learn about both sides, but that you have made a definite decision about why your side is right.
Which is really, really important. That means you're fair to both sides.
You're fair to both sides. And there it is. You're fair to both sides, so that the other side will be more willing to hear your side.
Now, this is the one thing in 8th grade, and as you go into high school, that an argument written, they're going to expect that you're able to do this. This is the hardest, probably the hardest part to get this part correct.
Because you don't want to sound like you're too much on the other side either.
Yeah, you want to make sure your argument is good. I'm going to put this over here.
So this is where are the most effective places to address the opposing viewpoint. And there are several places within your paper that you can stick the opposing viewpoint. I tend to like to stick the opposing viewpoint in an entire separate paragraph. And so you can see I have insert opposing paragraph here, meaning make like a fourth paragraph. And you can stick that paragraph anywhere in your paper. Or you can address the opposing viewpoint right away in the introduction, right before or after your thesis. And once you get really good at countering both sides and putting both sides in your paper, a really strong thing to do is to weave the opposing viewpoint throughout each of your arguments. That is a very hard skill, and so as you advance more in this type of writing, we can help you learn how to do that. But the easiest, clearest way to make sure you address the other side is to just make a paragraph and insert a paragraph somewhere within your paper that addresses the other side.
Now, this is pretty simple. You've always been taught to do this. You have an introduction. You have your body paragraphs based on your claims. So you have reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. You back it up with supporting evidence, and you have a conclusion. What we're suggesting you do, and saying what's a good strategy, is to just make an extra body paragraph where you counter. That's where you put your counterclaim. Your other side goes here and why it's wrong.
And that counter side paragraph can go at the bottom as a last paragraph, or it can go anywhere within your paper as long as you have that paragraph. That's the easiest way to address the other side. And again, as you become better at that, we can help you try to craft it into your introduction and also weave it throughout your other paragraphs.
Yep. So place 1, second, an additional paragraph. Place 2 in your intro, and place 3 kind of woven throughout. So we expect you to be able to at least do this one paragraph. That's probably where we'd be at for this assignment. So here's your sample, Mrs. Vibber Johnson. I think this is sort of what you were thinking for your model here.
So my model says, should cell phones be allowed in school? That's what I'm arguing. And I've given you my list of claims for and against. And this is a list of claims that you've seen in other videos that we've made. And so now I've gone over and I'm outlining my paper. And of course, you have your introduction, your conclusion, and your 3 reasons that would be your 3 body paragraphs. And now, as I was looking, I picked my 3 reasons. I said, reason 1, students are more engaged. It's in red. Students are ready to already break rules. And the fourth or the third reason for mine is research is on the phone is good. Now, I decided on the opposite side that I would say, oh, well, I'm also going to bring up that some people argue it's distracting and that phones could be used for cheating. And I thought about that topic and the evidence I had under that topic and decided I would put my opposing paragraph as my third paragraph, not my fourth paragraph, because it kind of fell really nicely under a paragraph hypothetically written about students already breaking the rule. And so this is something we want you to be aware of, is as you write that paragraph for the opposite point of view, where are you going to stick that paragraph? Don't always stick it at the end of your paper. Think about where you're going to stick it. So I thought about it here and I said I'm going to put my opposite side paragraph as my third paragraph in my paper because I wanted to go under my second piece of evidence and before my third piece of evidence.
Okay, so this is just one way you can do it. This is if you were to write this paper on should cell phones be allowed in school and you're arguing for it. Here are some reasons why you'd argue for it. Here is taking an argument against it and saying why it's bad. That's what we expect you to be able to do here and plan for that. And so that you can see in Mrs. Vibber Johnson's plan, she clearly is planned to include the opposite counter-argument in her third body paragraph.
And here's an example of my paragraph that shows the opposite point of view. Many students argue cell phones can be used by students for cheating and are a distraction to the learning environment. That is true, but what people do not realize is policies allowing for cell phone use actually reduces the amount of cheating. For example, if students are allowed to carry phones with them, teachers can set plain view policies within their classrooms. Remember we learned about plain view with the Fourth Amendment? I had to bring that in. In this example, students would be required to keep their cell phones in plain view of the teacher on their desk, let's say, where using a phone for cheating or other distracting behavior would be virtually impossible. On the other hand, policies where cell phones are banned only encourages students to keep cell phones concealed during instructional time, sneaking to use them when the teacher is helping other classmates.
Mrs. VJ. That was awesome. Look, you just took that argument against cell phones and you made it look completely silly.
And it goes right under, notice I stuck it right under the paragraph above that is going to be talking all about how students already break the rule. See how a paragraph hypothetically written about students already breaking the rule just flows right naturally into my opposing viewpoint of many people argue cell phones can be used by students for cheating. And then now my paragraph right after this is going to be like, yeah, and research on the phone is a great thing for the classroom.
So this is cool because you see that you acknowledge that, yeah, this is true. People could think that this would be used for cheating, but then you flip it right around and tell them why it's wrong. Okay, now it's time for you guys to try this out, writing your own counterclaims. First practice problem, what we need you to do in your notebook or on your paper or on your Word document, wherever you got, you're going to pause this video. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a sample outline for this paper. The argument that you're making in this paper is that should schools extend their daily hours so students are in school 10 hours per day. And I believe that you're arguing, the red here is reasons why it would be good, and the blue here would be reasons why it is bad.
And I don't know why that came out as underlined and bolded. That's just because I don't know how to use the computer very well, as you all know.
Okay, so this is just another piece. What we want you to do is pause the video and make a outline where you have 3 body paragraphs in favor of one argument and 1 counter-argument paragraph somewhere in here planned out.
So you should have 3 red statements and 1 blue statement somewhere in your outline here.
Okay, pause and do that now. Okay, and then one additional practice problem, what we want you to do is that for the outline that you just did, okay, so you have your counterclaim planned here somewhere. What we want you to do is now write it out, like write a sample paragraph just like Mrs. BJ did, just flash draft it, and let us show you that you are able to write the opposite view paragraph. So do that now.